Add on to that, I think that India just generally is also judgmental and very quiet. When there's certain things that's going on in the world, everyone, especially in place of privilege, a lot of Bollywood stars will put up Black Lives Matter, black squares, but then something happening in the country, no one wants to speak up about that. They're extremely quiet and living their privileged lives, going to Maldives and taking photos. And also, like, coming to these events, like, there are certain type of people that want to be educated about DEI are here. What about the rest of India? How do we take these conversations forward, right? And also, we're talking about victims. That is so true what you mentioned, because just usually victims are always in the forefront. You know, what you mentioned, the perpetrators are never held accountable. How do we change those things? Because that's continuing on for so many years. The policies have not been changed. There's no legal, like, free help. And even if there is, there's no resources that is readily available. Like, I have experience back in Canada and here. We should learn from other countries as well and maybe try to implement them here, because when I was growing up in Canada, we had no means, no campaigns everywhere. We had those hotlines everywhere, and I'm aware that India has those hotlines too, but I don't think a lot of people know about them because it's just not readily available. I don't think a victim would go through something and then have the courage to go on their phones and look for a hotline to speak to somebody. So I think that as a community, as organizations, as people of, you know, like in the government and things, we need to be more aware on how to share these resources to people. It shouldn't be a political statement. You know, and there's so many other ways to do this. There could be like anonymous peer help support. We can have survivors become advocates and talk about this and not shame them. Because all of these things that we see, most of the times, the dignity of the victim and the respect is taken away. People are always like, log kya kahenge? Why? People are going to speak anyway. Why is no one speaking to the perpetrators, right? There should be like free legal help. Like, there's so many other ways to do this. There should be campaigns that should be run, right? But that's just lacking. And us as a community need to come up with solutions and not just talk about it in a panel. It needs to be executed.
Right, and just picking up on that, I mean, what we are mapping also within the marginalized communities is that, you know, there are tremendous impacts on mental health. That self-esteem that takes a bashing, that is something that impacts people's esteem greatly. So if you belong or if you have even a toe in any of these marginalizations, you will find the statistics of self-harm, substance abuse, low you know, self-esteem very, very high in those communities, because it all goes back to the discussions, and it actually all goes back to what you're saying also, that if this is the norm, then anything outside that is the other, the wrong, the to be feared, you know. And I think huge discussions and awareness needs to start happening around these areas.